We're back with Women on Top, and in the studio today are Amanda O'Brien, my guest host, and Beck Jarrett from Two Red Shoes. And so we did start talking before the break, but this is an official welcome to you now. Hello.
Hi, thank you.
So we're going to chat to you a little bit about your business, Two Red Shoes Mortgage Broking, which we love because we love shoes.
I love it. I'm so passionate about the industry, and I absolutely love the name and the brand and whatever else. It's fabulous.
And you're having a bit of a brand change.
I know, and it's all thanks to the magician sitting next to me. So the beautiful Amanda.
That was kind of synchronicity. We didn't plan it that way, but it was kind of good.
Very good.
So yeah,
She's my brand advocate.
I am. Yes.
My influencer.
We're all your brand advocates, my friend.
Yeah, so new branding launching on Friday, actually. So today's Wednesday, so launching in 2 days. Which has been keeping me up days and nights recently, switching everything over.
As it
all
does.
The little things you have to do, email signatures, Google Plus pages, so it's creeping in
Beck's
slowly.
very hands-on, which is really great, which means that she's done her own website. I delivered her a brand pack, and she's just been able to, hit the ground running and do a whole lot of things as well. She's very clever.
Get something up and running, absolutely. It's fabulous. I'm so excited about it.
You are very clever. And obviously you work in the mortgage industry and helping people buy their homes, and you are very... well, how can I put it? Because I've used your services and we just love you in our house. So I know that sounds really sucky, but it's true. I have to be truthful. It's like, because, we've got this amazing home largely because of the work that you did for us. So we're very grateful.
No, I think you were in the home before I got there. However,
but you've made it better.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's right.
Yes.
You've made it better. It's better home now.
Better.
All right, so let's have a chat about what makes successful property buyers, because you've got some, you're talking to people all the time. What are some of the challenges that people are facing?
Well, what I'm finding, particularly in a really hot market, is people are using some strange tactics. And believe it or not, certain segments, certain areas of the market are still really quite hot. There are some that have cooled off, and certainly buyers have got a little bit more time up their sleeves now. So it seems to be what I'm seeing, what's crossing my desk, and what's feedback from the agents. Buyers have got a little bit more time, but pricing hasn't really come off terribly much, and there's still certain price points that are very, very competitive. So people are using other tactics. I think we've been through this period where competition was so fierce that maybe there's a little bit of exhaustion, I'm not sure. But agents are not, they're not playing the usual game at the moment. So the usual game, I think we all know, is you make an offer, they counter offer it backwards and forwards for a number of times. Agents are being very direct at the moment. What I'm hearing at any rate and what I'm seeing. And my business sort of crosses all of New South Wales and goes into Queensland and Melbourne, but it's across all areas. It's not any particular local area.
Is it because of the tightening of the laws that they have, that they can't do offers over a certain amount of he used to say offers over 500,000. They're really trying to sell it for 700,000, and poor people who want 550 are wasting their time.
Yeah. I think though that the reason they were doing that is because they just didn't know how to price stuff before those changes, because things were going crazy, and realistically they might have genuinely thought it was offers over 500 and it went for 7. It's just it was out of control. But I think agents now they're not playing the same games. They're being very direct. So they're saying to you, tell me your best offer and we'll tell you if it's good enough. And people so my buyers are saying, well, here is our best offer. Is it good enough or not? And so what I'm seeing is there's not the to and fro that there used to be. So being confident, being direct, being pre-approved, obviously, and knowing what your budget is helping at the moment. And you can go in and speak confidently, and people are securing, when they're making an offer, they're securing that offer the same day or the next day. There's not the sort of, we used to see 2 or 3 days, maybe a week of this to and fro.
Because of the fact they just really want to get in? Because I would imagine that's a bit of a mindset thing. Because the toing and froing happens because you're putting in an offer, they're deciding whether they want it, because you don't want to spend more than what you have to, right?
We're all playing the game. It's a game.
Yeah, or there's more buyers. Yeah. So is there just not as many buyers?
Anecdotally, bums on seats, there are more people through, or there's just as many people through the open homes, locally certainly. So I don't think that there's fewer buyers just as of yet. We can see that may come. So we can see that the writing's on the wall, and there might be more properties on the market coming up soon, and then they, of course, then the same group of buyers are going to be spread thinner. But I just think it's maybe a little bit of exhaustion. People want honesty, and it's working. But you know what? I'll tell you, I've been doing this for 14 years, and there was a crazy fellow I worked with years and years and years ago, and he used to come in with just a crazy number. So if it was listed for $500,000, he'd come in and offer $465,333, and you'll take it or you'll leave it. And most people took it. It's a mindset thing. It's weird.
Oh, that's a psychology thing for sure.
It's a psychology thing. So
really?
Whether it makes them think, oh, this person's done some research right down to the $300, which is ridiculous.
I like it too.
But hey, it works.
Well, you certainly would stick out, wouldn't you? Your offer would stand out amongst everything else.
Yeah, it does.
Especially if you're not offering because often you can't offer a confident offer because you just don't know where it's going to land.
Yeah, well, particularly with some of the wording on the ads to date. Yes, yeah. But yeah.
Wow.
Hey, whatever works.
So what are some of you said some people are using, is that the different tactics is what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Right, just being more direct.
Yeah, that's right. So it's being more direct. It's using some of those crazy numbers, those sorts of things.
So do you think that whole thing, I've seen the expression of interest cropping up, not so much in Sydney but in regional areas.
What does that mean?
Exactly. What does that mean? So it doesn't give you a price, it just says expressions of interest, and then there's a period of time, say 6 weeks, where they will accept an expression of interest. It's almost like a silent auction, and then the best price that they get, the best offer, they take.
That might be how they're getting around the, not being direct with pricing. But
I wish I had reread the legislation right now before this conversation, because I'm feeling that one might be excluded as well in the new legislation that came in on 1 Jan. Not 100% on that one though. But I think as long as they go back to all of those potential buyers and give them a second opportunity, I'd be very upset if my offer was $500 short and perhaps I could have stretched myself. How do you place it? You don't want to overprice yourself. Though, will I give you a tip? There is a fabulous resource out there called onthemarket.com.au.
Yeah.
If you put in an address in onthemarket.com.au, and if it has transferred, so if it has been sold at all as a normal, what we call an on-market transaction, so a sale through a real estate agent within the last sort of, shall we say 8 years perhaps, because it's got to be electronic record keeping, then it will give you a pretty good estimate of what that property is worth, based on what it sold before and predicted growth or potential growth that has incurred in that suburb. So
that's fantastic.
It is.
Is
It's
a
a
very
really
good
good
tool.
resource, and I use it a lot actually.
You get a Google site map view, even though most of them have that anyway. There's a lot of data on there.
No, it can't take into consideration if somebody's completely renovated a place and it's a completely different property now. And I don't know if it compares with the house 3 doors up the road that is exactly the same attributes and has sold for a record price. I'm not sure how intelligently it picks that up. But it's a really good starting place. And if you do that and then you look further down the list at the other places that have sold that are like that place. So we do this. We've got a report that we can provide anybody with for free that it does exactly the same thing. And the way I tell people to use it is go down the page and have a look at the other properties that are in that area that have the same attributes as what you're looking at, and what have they sold for, because that's your guide really.
Do you think that sometimes we don't do enough research, or people need to do more research before they talk to you about what they want, or they've done the research?
Were the tools available? I'm not sure. So the people that I'm speaking with now, I'm educating them about this sort of stuff. So I'm going to, in fact, I'll often supply them the links, or definitely I'll supply them a property report, and then I'll supply them the links and say, have a look, what do you think? That sort of stuff. So was it previously that we didn't have these tools, they weren't so accessible? Because this is, On the House has been around for a while, but it's getting better and better.
I'll include the links in this week's podcast. So it was onthemarket.com.au.
On the house.com.au. Yeah.
Beck, what about all the talk? I mean, there's been talk for a little while about how the bubble is, about to burst and that prices are going to go down.
Are we going to go there?
You've done a post. I remember your post a couple of weeks ago or months ago online.
Okay.
You were sprouting about
Has the bubble burst?
There's a lot of action around it.
I'm fairly opinionated on this. I still think, and this is what it comes back to, I have a mate who phoned me. He's looking for a place in Lyonnais, which is really hot right now. Like Lyonnais is a very popular spot. The price point, that sort of $750, $850 price point is really hot. He rang me and he was questioning, Beck, is it going to burst? What's going on? Should I wait? Mate, bums on seats. How many people are going through the open homes? Oh, well, there's still 15, 20 couples going through an open home, and they're snapping up like hotcakes. So while we've still got this demand, how can a bubble burst? There is, I don't think.
Did you watch the 60 Minutes program on Sunday night?
Look, I did see a little bit of it, and I had a chat with a couple of mortgage brokers on Monday on the business show, and they thought it was rubbish because the woman that was featured on the show was like, it was a really...
She'd bought 11 properties.
But she bought them in a country town.
Yes.
In a mining town.
Yeah.
Where prices were, elevated.
Correct. So in a multifaceted economy, in a place like Sydney where you can work in a number of different places, it's just not the same.
Good point.
So definitely those single source economies where we're really so heavily reliant on the mining boom, absolutely that can happen, definitely. But overall, is it going to really happen? While there's still demand and there's a shortfall in supply, how can it?
I must admit, I felt like I really wanted to have sympathy for her, but it's like, hang on a minute.
Well, where was she getting her advice from? And the other thing is...
Did she have any advice? Was she doing it by herself?
But then the other thing is that it's the slant on it was like, now it's the bank's fault.
The bank, yeah.
Right? And I was like,
The bank is not get involved in selecting a property for you.
Banks are not immune to being complete and utter,
I think we do have to ask those questions. If you are spending that much money, then where's your business plan? What is...
And where was the advice that you were getting?
Exactly. Yeah. Where are your numbers?
Yep, and that's the thing. Numbers have to make sense now and into the future. I mean, you can speculatively go into those towns. Personally, I wouldn't. I don't have that kind of money to lose, is the way I'd look at it. So I wouldn't be... going in to that extent. Exactly.
Well, because essentially mining towns, what I have read is that there is a bit of a boom time and they do need accommodation, but then they all move on.
Yeah, that's
because
right.
it's a finite time, and then you've got all these places which is what's happened to her, that she can't rent.
So it's timing. It's speculative and it's timing. Yeah. And if you're not on top of it, don't invest. Exactly. What was it, 5.3 million or something? Don't invest 5.3 million.
I felt that's what I did feel. I felt sick. I didn't feel sympathy. I felt
sick for her. Yeah. Because imagine having that kind of debt.
Look, longer term, if we look at it over a very, very long period of time, it's highly unlikely she'll make her money back. But a longer period of time, it will recover to some extent because naturally prices.
She's going to declare bankruptcy.
That's unfortunately where she might be left. I didn't watch the article, but
it was pretty typically very negative and fear mongering is how I looked at it. And for people who haven't invested or are thinking about it and weren't very educated, would be like kind of scared off. Yeah. And I just don't get what the point of those things are.
Every homeowner in Australia should listen to this message.
Yes.
So what, we should all sell our houses and live in tents?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. Yeah. But look, moving on to a different subject. Hey, actually, did anyone see on Facebook this morning? I saw the tent, the multi-octagonal piecing together tent, so you can have you could go with 12 friends and have this kind of tent that just kept going and going with all these bits to add on.
I've seen that before.
I think it was a real thing, if it's Japanese design or something. Yeah. Anyway, we digress. But look, Beck, I did want to ask you about a lot of us obviously a lot of us are self-employed, entrepreneurs, who I know it was hard for me to get into the market. What are your tips or advice for self-employed people?
Because we have a tendency, and particularly in Australia, to sort of write off as much as we possibly can, always within the bounds of the law, and our accountants obviously encourage that. It's there's some sense in that. But at the end of the day, if you have no income on paper, what have you worked for? And you are going to lock yourself out of some other opportunities. So if you could potentially have some more income on paper, and buy an investment that you can write off some of the expenses on, you might get back to a similar sort of tax position. And you know what? Moving forward, you'd also have an asset that's saleable. Because the issue is, I see loads of plumbers that don't make an awful lot of money on the books, and I ask, and they don't have super because they don't. Super is it doesn't have to be, but it's an element of what you earn, isn't it? 9% of what you earn goes into super. And they don't have super and they get to retirement age, and I'm kind of asking the question, well, what are you going to retire on? I'm going to sell my business. Or what did you turn over in your business last year? 20 grand. Well, almost every business is valued as a multiple of its annual turnover, right? Mm-hmm. So what's your business worth? $40,000. How long will that last you? So I think that, you know what, just pay tax. If you use the hospital systems and you use the roads and whatever else, pay tax. But and still be clever, but build up an asset at the same time. So for my self-employed people, it's also important to understand that each lender treats self-employed very, very differently. So if you walk in the door of, XYZ branch up the road from you, you've got almost no chance of being approved. There's all sorts of policies. For example, depreciation. People can write off the depreciation on cars and equipment and vehicle, office equipment, that sort of stuff. That can be it hasn't cost you anything, but it's a way of minimising your tax quite legally and within the right structures. Depreciation can be added back when you're going for a loan, so that can become income back to you again, as well as additional superannuation payments that you've made and those sorts of things. But even the way that the banks treat depreciation is different from one to the other. So one bank might take all of it, one bank might take a percentage of it, one bank might take only the depreciation that relates to things that are not required to run the business. So you can't take the depreciation for your earth mover because you don't have a business without your earth mover. And then some banks might take none at all. How are you going to work that out?
Okay, so I suppose the thing is just don't be put off because they all do it differently. Just give it a go.
Give it a go. Yeah, absolutely.
And seek your advice, clearly.
Are you a financial advisor?
No, I'm not, and I've refused to go down that road.
Why? You'd be fantastic.
No, because I work with a fabulous financial advisor and I'd love to hand her all the business. But secondly, it's just so tightly regulated in terms of if I was to phone you and say, "Hi, Amanda, how are you today?" I need to write that down, and I think that.
What?
Yeah, it's really highly regulated.
Yeah.
So
and also now,
grief.
And I've got no problems with regulation and operating within the bounds of the law. Absolutely
but
not. That's
that
fine.
level, really?
I don't see how that protects the consumer, so that would just frustrate me.
It would frustrate me. Well, it's great having you in. You're going to stick around for the rest of our banter today?
Absolutely.
Excellent. Well, why don't we have a quick break and play a song? In continuing in my little up mood that I've got on today, let's have The Presets and My People. And that was, of course, The Presets with My People. And you're with Women on Top this Wednesday afternoon, and in the studio with me today is Beck Jarrett and Amanda O'Brien, and we were just rocking out then in the studio, the presets. And what did you say to me? Like I was like pretending to be a DJ. What did you say to me?
Do I feel like we need to take eckies?
And I just looked like cue mortification face. Because it's interesting. We should probably launch straight into the next thing we were going to talk about today, and that is that whether we're feeling old when we see the story on the eyeball tattooing.
I so want to see the world in a different colour.
Well, would it actually do that? Because you don't see through your eyeball. However,
I know, but
yeah.
And are we old because we don't get it? Like I don't get it.
I don't get it at all.
So what we're commenting on, what we're talking about is the eyeball tattooing, the regulation that the government wants to regulate the industry because the procedure is so dangerous. What's the danger? Did you say, Beck?
Well, she said, this is the thing. She says, I don't think the industry should be regulated. But in the next breath she says, but you can go blind from it.
So it's eyeball inking, okay? So it's eyeball inking. So it's colouring your eyeballs.
Yes.
So the picture that appears in the Herald for this story is a girl who has the whites of her eyes are now like a what do you call it, a turquoise?
I call it a sea blue.
Oh, hang on, let me just channel Miranda from The Devil Wears Prada as cerulean.
Oh, yeah.
That has been chosen for you by some fantastic designer in the world. Oh, God. I just feel old, and I'm not old, but I feel old when I'm like, why? What would you do?
And it's totally permanent. It's irreversible. So you have these for the rest of your life. And I guess that's where the "are we old" comment comes from.
I guess it is, but it's also artistic expression, and for tattooing, your body is the canvas. So,
sure.
And so it's a.
Well, okay. Let me do a quick poll though. Do you have any tattoos?
No.
Do you?
No.
Oh, that was a hesitant no.
No.
My mother does.
Really?
Yes, she got one on her 50th birthday.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah.
She got a butterfly
What did she
on her
get?
bum.
A butterfly on her bum.
Yes. She says it's a bit more like a moth now.
Oh, that's so cute.
10 years later.
That is so cute. Well, like we were talking about this, this whole, being old and stuff. And if you walk down the street now, like at 20 years of age, 20-year-old kid. So my stepson, beautiful Cam, he's covered in tattoos. He's got the whole sleeves and arms and these necks and faces now, really in your face kind of tattoos, which I'm just noticing it more and more. And I kind of go, I get that artistic expression. I've got a kind of an attitude of live and let live. That's whatever floats your boat. Yep. And then I think, are you going to be okay with that decision when you're older? I sometimes feel that they're fueling future business.
Well, I think you're this age for 5 minutes. You don't understand how much you're going to change. But the world is going to change and these things are going to be acceptable, more and more. So I look at this and I go, well, if you have aspirations to be the CEO of Telstra in future, are you going to be taken seriously? But I'm
not sure.
What, with a big tattoo along your neck?
Yeah, I'm
well, even the eyeballs, any of it. Who knows where it's going to go in future?
Sorry, Amanda, what are you going to say?
Well, I'm not sure that a person who, tattoos their eyeballs is even looking to be the CEO of Telstra.
Well,
but
possibly
you
not.
are this person right now for such a brief period of time.
That's true. If I think about where I am now, what we were doing, what you're doing now, and what your aspirations become, will you be taken seriously? Is a really good point.
Yeah.
But a tattoo is a permanent mark, and most people kind of get that is a permanent mark. But there are some people who get to a certain age, who are on the contrary. But if you make a commitment to that mark, you are a certain kind of person.
Sure.
So
have we seen? I suppose I could Google it. If they're like, I can't. What comes to mind is the Teflon ad with the woman with the tattoo that's all wrinkly, and we haven't. We're still in the generation where a lot of our elderly and senior Australians are not covered in tattoos, and so the time will come when all those people
there
will be.
Yes,
and I wonder
that's what I mean. The world is
fascinated
changing.
by what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
What are they going to look like?
what are they
like
going
your
to look
joke
like?
for your mum about the moth. It's like, and then the Teflon ad, and people with full on. What is it going to look like?
That's right.
But it's going to be commonplace. So that we're all going to be joking about them.
So it won't matter.
That's right.
It's the same with the plastics. Like I don't want to chuckle, but I have to be honest and say I do sometimes. The people who've got the really big, spaces in their
and the dermal implants and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and their earlobes and stuff, or they have them out and the earlobes are hanging down with this big fold of skin, this big hole, and I just look and go, future plastic surgeons would be, again...
Growth
industry, future plastic surgeons, growth industry, tattoo removal, because just as well there'll be people who will commit to their tattoo, there'll be people like you're saying, Beck, who'll change in life and will want to get rid of it.
Look, I think that symbolic tattoos, that's always going to mean something to you. So I think that's not ever going to be an issue for you.
We're not a singular society, and, the diversity is great. Although tattoos are more the norm than not.
That's it. So we're all getting tattoos so we can all be individuals. That's exactly.
Wow, interesting. It's really funny, isn't it? Because I as I say, they're not really something I've done. I have thought about it once or twice, and then I'm just a big chicken. I just don't want the pain.
Yeah, true.
And then I'm going, okay. But then I look at my daughters and I go, oh, I hope you're not going to do that. So they were really turned off by their big brother having, Cam, you so many tattoos, and they didn't like it. So I'm like, okay, that's good. And I'm thinking, I hope that kind of...
Well, we need to get past that. So they're still seen as a little bit scary these days, aren't they? And they're still highly judged. So we need to get past that. And it will happen. We're going to become the minority. And
that's right. People put makeup. There is makeup to cover tattoos.
Yeah.
for job interviews, for
so we'll become desensitized.
I think some of the tattoos I see are absolutely beautiful, aren't they?
I have a girlfriend who's a tattoo artist, and she does the most amazing work.
Yeah, right. Maybe it will be a growth industry for all of us who want to, stay young. We'll change our mind.
Old lady tattoos.
Let's come back to this conversation in tattoos.
Old lady tattoo. That sounds
And
like
because
a marketing dream.
because we were already wrinkled. So here it goes. So I go something like this.
Speak for yourself.
Because you're already wrinkled.
Oh, no, she's speaking for me.
Because there are already wrinkles there, it won't age.
There's wrinkles where you don't want to know.
We'll incorporate the wrinkles into your tattoo. I can see the marketing around it now. Oh, look, I'm having a bit too much fun.
No dragons, elephants only.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, I saw something the other day. It made me chuckle, and it was someone who had an Asian, the beautiful Chinese symbols that people get as tattoos.
Yeah.
It's like, what if,
Yeah, what if it's misspelt?
Well, no, but not just that. It's like, imagine if you were an Asian person who was just getting random English letters.
What?
On your arm, like how they must see it, like what we do. And I just had a little bit of a giggle to myself. Okay, so moving on, I want to share something today because look, you know me and how I like to delve into the deeper things in life. That's what I'm about. I'm not really so much into the surface stuff. But this morning, I had this thing where I was running late, right? And so I know someone who will say, "Oh, Andrea, you're always late." Well, actually, I'm quite punctual because I learnt years ago that punctuality, that was a sign of, like, if you keep your agreements with yourself, that was, it's a really good way for increasing your self-esteem and your self-worth. And I really do believe that because we feel good, right? If we say, "I'm going to go to the gym tomorrow," and then you go, what happens? You feel great. Right? Mm-hmm. So when we keep our commitments, we feel great. And so then, of course, when we keep our commitments to other people, then it's honouring, those people, right? So I've always operated where I like to be punctual. So my thing is, and this is probably not where you thought we'll go, but I was 10 minutes. I left 10 minutes later than what I should have today. I was called on the phone, and I just lost track and looked at the time. And went, "Oh my God, it's 10 minutes past. I've got to go." And then I get in my car and I go to the traffic lights, and where I live in Falconbridge, there's the train that comes which affects the lights because the train crossing is in sync with the lights. Mm-hmm. And I'm sitting there and I'm running late, and lo and behold, the coal train's coming. For those that don't live in the mountains, the coal train is like 55 cars long and it chugs up and down this mountain. And what that means is that the lights are not going to change until that train's gone, and then there's a couple of minutes before they kick back in again. And I'm sitting there, and I mean, why does this happen when you're running late?
Because you didn't download the schedule. That's why.
But what is it about the universal? Because then, right, I got on the road. Okay, the lights changed, and then I'm driving. And I'm finding myself, and I'm being really truthful here, I'm yelling at the car in front of me who was putting along in the second lane, right, in the fast lane, the overtaking lane, really, really, really slow. They were tourists having a wonderful, beautiful time, the beautiful day, the beautiful Blue Mountains, and I'm screaming at him, "Move over!" And then I just become this, like, devil woman, and then I stop myself. I was like, "Andrea, like, just pull it, like, what is that? Like, what is that whole kind of experience where you just step into this, you just don't become yourself and you just hate being late?" I hate being late. I'll own that. I hate being late. So can you help me? Can you be my agony aunts and tell me what that is about? Because it really drives me nuts.
First thing I would say is the difference between you and someone who is perpetually late is that you checked in with yourself when you were driving along. You're going, "Andrea, what is that?" So I would say, number one,
so I'm off the hook for being a screaming banshee.
But isn't it like the law of attraction?
Is that what it is?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is it law of attraction or if it's Murphy's law? I don't know, one or the other.
Well, hang on. So law of attraction? I'm attracting it to me because I'm late.
Yes.
And I'm invested.
You're just putting, you're receiving what you put out.
Right. That I'm late.
Yeah.
I'm late, so they're going to make you even later.
Okay.
But you still arrived in plenty of time.
I did, and it was okay.
There's
but
also another thing. So, because I don't have a relationship with time. So it's just because I really try to live consciously, like in the now.
Yes.
So you're having a conversation with somebody on the phone and you are completely and absolutely present with them in that moment, right?
Yes, I was today, yes.
So you operate like that a lot, and so do I. And so which means that, because I got here at 5 too, because the same thing, when I'm in, yesterday I said to you, I've been deep diving on a project, because that's what I do. I go right down, I'm in it, live in it, and then you come up for air. But that's living presently, and it's living in the now. But it doesn't excuse, because then I'm always late as well, exactly the same way. And I try and the only kind of relationship I have is just trying to stretch,
stretch the time to what's acceptable or something. Well, because you don't leave people hanging. Yeah. I mean, you got here in time, you know. I mean, I have a dear friend, a dear friend, and I don't think he listens to this blog and a podcast, and even if he did, he would laugh. And his name's Mark, and I've known him for 25 years, and it was hilarious because he's always late. Always. He was just renowned for being late. And we had this joke once where, when his wife and they had their baby, she would get herself and her baby ready and still be waiting for him just to get out the door, right? And if I got to the point where if I wanted them to be at my house by a certain time, I would tell them to come half an hour earlier. So if dinner was at 7:30, I'd say, at 6:30 at my place, because then I know they would arrive at 7:30 rather than 8:30, right? And we had this joke because one day we caught him. It was like time to go, and he so lives in the moment that he saw some dirt on the blinds, and he started cleaning the blinds on the ceiling.
So he's racing out the door.
And he's meant to be leaving, and he was cleaning the blinds near the roof with this long extended handle. So it just became a joke. Where are you, Mark? Are you cleaning the blinds?
That's very funny.
I don't know what the answer is, but I just felt like today, you know what, this is really annoying. And then my reaction isn't great either. But you're right, I did catch myself.
You caught yourself. And my husband says to me when we're going out, is that there's no wriggle room.
I love that too.
And I said, wriggle room? You know where you can put your wriggle room?
Whereas I operate on the
love
pretext
that
of wriggle
diplomacy.
room. I've got my alarms are all set because I do multiple appointments a day, and my alarms are all set, and I've got wriggle room in between, and I'm making sure. And and if I do run late, and I still do run late, I always say to every appointment after the first, okay, so I'm going to text you as I'm leaving the last one just to confirm the time. No one's ever got a problem with that, so it's not.
I love
I
that.
try to stick to
I'm
my
going to
routine.
hashtag that on this podcast. I'm hashtagging wiggle room and I'm hashtagging dive in, because that's the other thing. When I talked to you yesterday, and I'm just deep dive. Sorry, deep dive, not dive in. Deep diving into a project.
I'm like a pearl diver looking for those pearls.
Listen, the results are there, so nobody's throwing stones.
Well, you beautiful pearls, let's just have a music break and we'll come back and continue this conversation, but on a different topic. We're not going to talk about being late anymore because we've done that to death. Here is what is on next. We've got Dear Mr. President by Pink.
La, la, la. La, 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 la. You'd never take a walk with me. Would you?
And that was the gorgeous Pink with the help of the Indigo Girls. And you're back with Women on Top. That's just about us for the show today. That hour has gone very quick. We've only got a few minutes left, so we thought we'd talk about some of the things that are coming up because there's some exciting times, and also we neglected to let you share, Beck, how people can find you. So 2 Red Shoes Mortgage Broking, your big relaunch is on Friday.
So Friday, tick all the boxes and everything goes live. There is a competition coming up to win a custom designed pair of shoes designed by you. So I've bought a Shoes of Prey voucher because I have a pair or 7, and I thought I'd share the love. So the website will be 2redshoes.com.au, and of course we're on Facebook and new on Instagram as of Friday as well.
Wow.
Awesome. Can I just clarify 2 as in the number 2 or the word 2?
Yeah.
So that's 2redshoes.com.au. And what about if people want to contact you, Beck? What's your number?
0404 494 929.
Excellent. I can thoroughly recommend Beck's mortgage advice. It's fantastic.
You get thousands of phone calls now.
Awesome. Oh, look, I love what I do. If I had to pick a hobby, I'd still pick this.
Yes, you are very suited. You are doing what you're passionate about. That comes through with your knowledge. Good grief. Okay, so International Women's Day is coming up. It's a really exciting. I feel like it's a really exciting time in life. Brené Brown, Brené, I don't know how you pronounce it. Brené, we pronounce it Brené. Brené Brown, researcher and storyteller, amazing author. I'm reading at the moment I'm not reading it. I'm listening to it, an audiobook. The Gifts of Imperfection is coming out to Australia, and we're going to see her next Wednesday night. So probably not next week's show, the one after, we'll probably be chatting about that. And partly why I suppose was on my mind today to share my story about being late and how that pushes me around and the feelings and stuff that go with it, because she's just amazing about getting real and talking about what gets in the way of being authentic or being connected and being present with who we are.
And if you're reading that and that's what's happening in your life, it's just showing up.
It is totally showing up. So we're very excited about going to see her. And you're coming with me.
I'm coming.
Are you going?
Yeah.
Going? I'm sorry,
Girls'
we don't have enough
Sounds
tickets.
fabulous, ladies. Thanks.
We'll tell you all about it. We'll tell you all
So
about
good.
it.
Yep.
Also,
Text you.
Do that. Text me throughout. Periscope it.
International Women's Day is on the 8th of March. This is a really special time because really and truly all over the world, in every country, women are celebrating being women. We saw some stories, and we're going to run out of time. We can't really talk about it today, but that the gender pay gap is closing, but there's still such a ways to go. A male wage for equal work is still $27,000 on average, higher than what a woman earns in a year, the average wages. So that's a lot. That's a lot of money. But I just love the thought about everybody celebrating, and we will be celebrating. We're having a big morning tea reception at the Springwood Community Theatre and Hub on the 8th of March in the morning. That starts at 9 a.m. And then on Thursday, the 10th of March, we're having a breakfast at Penrith RSL, and we're co-hosting with Penrith RSL, and we're going to have a panel on leadership, which we're really excited about. So we'll be talking about women in leadership. Oh, and Sunday the 6th, starting the Sunday before that, is something else quite exciting, and that is a program that the Joan Sutherland are part of. I should rephrase that. It's a program that the Opera House is putting on called All About Women. And so what it is, it's a panel of amazing women talking, including people like Anne Sherry and Anne-Marie Slaughter, talking about what needs to change. And they're going to stream it out from the Opera House to all these satellite spots, and the Joan in Penrith is one of them. So you can sit in the theatre and actually watch the discussion. You get a glass of wine, an arrival and some nibbles, and then we have a little bit of discussion around what we're seeing. And there's all these places all around Australia that are going to be streaming this program. So that's going to be great. And then after the break, Piper Kerman, who wrote Orange is the New Black, is also going to be speaking, and we're going to be watching and having a chat about that. So it'll be really cool, and the tickets are only $10 each. Isn't that awesome?
I'll be there.
I'll be there.
My ticket yesterday.
Awesome. Yeah, excellent. So I'm looking forward to that. So if you feel like doing something on Sunday at lunchtime, on
Not
Sunday the
this
6th of March,
No.
6th of March, sorry, thank you for that clarification. Sunday the 6th of March at lunchtime, come and join us down at the Joan, because, it kicks off an amazing week. So that's about all we have time for. The Altitude Awards are still in process. The entries close on the 20th of March, but it's coming closer. So make sure you get your entries or your nominations in. And we really are excited about what we're seeing and what we're hearing with the Altitude Awards. There's lots of amazing women out there, so we'd love to hear from you. So if you want to find more information about that, the Altitude Awards, you can find that on the womenwithaltitude.com.au website. Just click on the awards tab. That's all we've got time for. Thanks for joining us this week on Women on Top. Amanda O'Brien, it's lovely to have you in the studio.
Thank you
always.
Thank you.
And Beck Jarrett, how nice to play with you today.
Absolutely.
So I think I better line up. I better get organised and line up the outro, right? So we just sign off while we do that.
Yeah.
Who are you?
My name is Amanda O'Brien.
I'm Andrea Turner-Boys.
And Rebecca Jarrett-Dalton.
Fantastic. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you again next week.
Bye for now.
Bye.
This has been Women on Top, presented by Women with Altitude and recorded live at Radio Blue Mountains 89.1.